some write-offs through depreciation, which you don't actually have to pay for. That's a wonderful thing. But you can trade your investment properties all your life and just defer tax forever. We say defer till you die. Okay, and that's a great deal. Can't do that in the stock market or with mutual funds. And then we had some fun after that, didn't we? What did we do at Saturday evening?
Cash flow.
Yeah, we had the cash flow game. We served adult beverages.
Yes, we may have served too many adult beverages. We won't mention any names.
Okay, Doug, we won't mention any names.
But the cash flow game is a great game. If no one's played that before, it just teaches you a whole lot.
Yeah, that's Robert Kiyosaki's Cash Flow 101 and Cash Flow 202 games. And folks, those games are pretty good. They're very real. They're like a contemporary version of Monopoly. And the point is to get out of the rat race and get into the fast lane. And that's what we help you do here at Platinum Properties Investor Network.
Well, and I have to say I'm still a little bitter because I just lost my first cash flow game last weekend due to the fact that I had 3 babies.
Well, you know, kids are expensive, but they're mighty cute, aren't they?
Yeah.
All right, so we had fun doing the cash flow game, and then we ended at about 9 p.m. on Saturday night. So that was a long, long day. You know, that was a good 12-hour day. And then Sunday, we started with my presentation on keeping the faith with your investments. Of course, we did continental breakfast both days, and then we had our first area presentation. Lou came out from Phoenix, and again, that's a market that we shut down for 3.5 years or so, and then we reopened it because it's a half-price sale in Phoenix, and things are good there again. It's a good time to be looking back at that market again, right?
Yeah, actually, a lot of people liked the presentation because a lot of good property management stuff involved, and it's a great market to go in right now.
And Ari, you just spent about a week in Phoenix before the Masters weekend.
Sure did.
And, well, a business week then, 5 days, not 7.
Right.
And what did you think when you were out there? You looked around at properties, you met with our manager, you met with our local market specialist. What were your impressions?
I've been doing a lot of research on Phoenix in the last few months, just reading a lot about the trends, the job growth, what's going on there. And not only do I feel that the market is at the bottom there, I feel that there's so much growth there for continued housing. There's a lot of land still out there that's going to be built on, and a lot of people are moving there. I think it's kind of a perfect storm out there right now. Prices are so cheap, like you said in your previous podcast, they're cut in half, if not more. I know I've seen values drop 60%. And with the combination of our property manager out there and low interest rates, it's a perfect storm right now to invest out there.
And I think Phoenix really is especially comfortable for the California investor because it's so nearby. It's an hour on a plane. It's 5 hours in the car. And it's just comfortable. Everybody in California has been there.
Except for me.
You haven't been to Phoenix? Really?
No.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm surprised. Okay.
Well, if you're going to go out there, this is the best time to go because the weather's perfect.
Yeah, in the fall, it's really nice. Okay, so we had our Phoenix presentation with Lou, and then Doug spoke on limiting risk using my risk evaluator model, but Doug really took it to a whole deeper level with a lot of very specific kind of analytical approach, whereas it was just presented more conceptually before that. You want low land values, high improvement value, and you want to buy at or below the cost of actual construction. So that was really interested, and you know that was using my technique called packaged commodities investing. And then what did we have? We had Brenda talk about Property Tracker and Property Evaluator, and then we had lunch, and then our panel discussion was Patrick, Richard, Joan, and Joe, and that was fantastic. We thank all of you for participating. I'm sure you're listening now, so we really just want to say thanks again for participating in that. And after the panel discussion, we talked about investing in real estate using your IRA. So you can, with certain qualified retirement plans, use them to invest in real estate, and that is a much better deal than it used to be, actually, because the way the mortgage market has changed. So talk to an investment counselor here for details on that. Then we had pumpkin pie and carrot cake. I love
Jason's
pumpkin pie.
favorite.
I've been having carrot cake for the last 3 days.
Yeah, well, I think it's probably done now,
It's
sitting
done
in the
now.
fridge there. Okay, no more carrot cake. And then we had Glenn come in and talk about the lending market in terms of private money and private money borrowing and non-owner occupied property lending. We talked a little bit about prepaid legal. That's such a great service. Folks, we're not pitching it, but that's just a bargain for $26 a month. If you have questions about that great system that gives you a lawyer in 50 states, when you're investing across state lines, it's a really handy service to have for less than $1 a day. So we highly recommend that service. And then we had our last area presentation, which was Phil, who talked about the Dallas market. And we used to be very active in Dallas, and then we sort of, we weren't doing as much there. And now we're really back into the Dallas market again, as there are some really good opportunities there right now. So all in all, I think it was a great Masters weekend, huh?
Yeah, it was absolutely great. I did want to add, I was actually very surprised about the Dallas presenter, Phil. I mean, I've talked to him before, met him before, and I know they've got really the one-stop shop there. But when I saw all the different intricacies of what they do on the rehab of the properties and getting them rent ready, I mean, they're pretty sharp out there too. So I was really excited about that.
You're absolutely right about that. I mean, the last time I was in Dallas, I was with them. I was looking at the properties in August, so just a month and a half, 2 months ago. And they do things to make the long-term maintenance cost of that property really low. I'll give you one example. If they're replacing the flooring in, say, the kitchen, what they do is they use a vinyl that looks like wood flooring. And it looks really good nowadays, folks, but here's the reason for that. If you used a typical linoleum or vinyl type product and you had one little tear in it, say the little leg on the refrigerator, and it tore the vinyl, you would have to replace potentially the whole floor. You couldn't really patch it. But the reason they use the wood grain look is because it's in the form of planks, just like a real wood floor would be.
Right.
So you can literally take a razor blade and cut out one quote-unquote plank, if you will, put another one in, glue it down, and you fixed it. And there are all these little tricks like the paint you use that really make the long-term maintenance of a property much more affordable. So we're always looking for contractors who practice these kinds of best practices in their business so that your long-term investment experience is a good one. Anything else on the Masters weekend?
Well, I'd just like to say that I always say this to my clients, that they can only go to one event that we have. The Masters weekend would be the best event to go to. And the reason why I say that is because...
No, I'm going to disagree with you. They need to come to the Creating Wealth Boot Camp first.
But, well, they're all
whatever.
Great, but the reason why I say that, Jason, is because it gives our clients a chance to actually meet our network. And physically meet them, shake their hand, and know that we're actually working with somebody there. Because there's a lot of companies that are just one-man operations, although they say and they look like they're bigger, but we actually have people that we're physically doing work with. So,
well, that's a really good point. I've got to caution you, listeners. A lot of these investment groups out there, these people never even go to the markets. They never see the properties, much less buy properties in these markets, which we do, 90% of the time. We own properties in the markets that we're talking about, sometimes right on the same street as, we're recommending that you buy. So we practice what we preach. Over the years, I've made millions and millions of dollars investing in real estate, and I've made millions of dollars in business too. And that's why we're going to talk a little bit more about some business stuff on this show. So you'll see a few shows here and there talking about the business topic, and I think you'll like that because it's not just about creating and perpetuating your wealth. It's also about making money, making income. And so that's really kind of what this interview coming up is about. But be sure to join us for the next Masters weekend. It'll be in March. We'll get that on the website here at jasonhartman.com/events. And we'd love to see you there and get into our coaching program. We've got a great coaching program. And thank you for all of your interest. By the way, if you're interested in just an introductory one-time coaching session with me personally, assuming you want me personally, but I think you do, right? Right. Yes, you do. You can do that for just $100, and I'll be glad to coach you personally and tell you a little bit about the program, and we'll analyze your goals, your situation, and the shortest distance from point A to point B, which is where you want to be in your financial life. So we'll help you get there, and we really appreciate your listening and joining us for our events and your interest in our products, newsletter, coaching program, etc. All of that's at jasonhartman.com. Let's go to the interview with the strategic coach, Dan Sullivan. It's my pleasure to welcome Dan Sullivan to the show. I've been a longtime fan of Dan since I met him originally at a Young Entrepreneurs Organization conference in New York City about 8-9 years ago, around 2000 or 99. He heads up a company and a program called the Strategic Coach. Dan was doing coaching before coaching was popular. and he's been doing it for well over 30 years now. He's out with a new book that I just received entitled The Dan Sullivan Question, Ask It and Transform Anyone's Future. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot, Jason. Real pleasure to be with you today.
Well, pleasure to have you. You really teach entrepreneurs how to be more successful and to move from sort of the first level of their business to the